Hey, what's happening, YouTubers? We're back with a brand new video, and it's around that time of the year now where everyone likes to make videos or lists of their favorite figures from a certain company of 2021. So I thought, why not kick it off? I'm going to kick it off with my top 10 favorite McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures. Now, believe it or not, McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line has produced a lot more figures in 2021 that isn't just exactly Batman-centric. Crazy, I know. Now, before I delve into the top 10 list, I do have two honorable mentions I do want to give a shout out to, so let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so my two honorable mentions I want to give is the Todd McFarlane inspired Batman and the Gorilla Grodd from the DC Injustice 2 game. Now, the reason why I put Gorilla Grodd on there, it's just awesome to see him made in a figure form from McFarlane Toys, because in my opinion, this is Todd McFarlane's wheelhouse, designing big, like chunky figures like this, and the detail on this is incredible. And the reason for the Todd McFarlane inspired Batman was much like the same reason I had him on honorable mention for my top 5 Batmans of all time on McFarlane Toys DC line, was just to give respects to the Todd father. Now, the honorable mentions out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with the top 10 list. And kicking the list off at number 10, we have Darkseid from Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, aka the Snyder Cut. It's still surreal to me to have seen Darkseid in the cinematic verse, and it's also even more surreal to see him made in figure form, yet here we are with a Darkseid figure, and I think McFarlane Toys did a great job with this figure. The only downside is that like elongated torso. Now, I do know they made like an exclusive armored version, but I don't so much care for that. I'm probably just going to stick with this one, but it is a good figure nonetheless, and good enough to get it in the top 10 list. And coming in at number 9, we have the Damian Wayne Robin. Now, this was kind of a polarizing figure with collectors out there, and it got a lot of flack because a lot of collectors felt it was too tall and it didn't really scale with the rest of the McFarlane DC line, like a lot of other figures. But in my opinion, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. The drawbacks for me for this figure was that it had single-jointed elbows and single-jointed knees, but for all those flaws, I still like this Robin figure because it was beautifully sculpted and definitely looks like Damian Wayne in my opinion, but it is a dope figure, and a dope figure to get it at list at number 9. And coming in at number 8, we have the Black Suit Superman from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Again, another Snyder Cut figure. Now, this was released in June, but it was a figure I've been looking forward to ever since McFarlane Toys announced that they were going to do Snyder Cut figures. And also, I was looking forward to it because I never owned a Black Suit Superman figure, and we've never seen the Black Suit Superman figure on the live action screen. So it's dope to see this in figure form. I think the pattern, the details on his suit was beautifully sculpted. Now, the head sculpt is a little bit questionable. It doesn't really look like Henry Cavill. I think in the product shots and the promotional images originally looked really bad, but up close it's not too bad, but it is a nice looking figure and good enough to get it a spot at number 8. And coming in at number 7, yes, another Snyder Cut figure, we've got CYBORG from Zack Snyder's Justice League, and in my opinion, this is their best DCEU figure they've made. From head to toe, this has so many intricate details and is beautifully sculpted, and that head sculpt is probably their best movie head sculpt out of all the figures in my opinion. That looks identical to Ray Fisher's CYBORG. And also, the beautiful thing about this figure is if you're not a McFarlane Toys collector, maybe you collect like Mezco and they still haven't made a CYBORG figure, this would be a nice stand-in just because CYBORG's character in the movie is a little bit taller, so he would scale a little bit taller than your Mezcos, but it's a dope figure and a well-sculpted figure in my opinion. And coming in at number 6, we have King Shark from the Collect to Build wave from the Suicide Squad movie. Now, this is one of those figures I didn't think I'd ever have in my collection, yet here we are with a King Shark figure. Now, this is one of those figures that it's the only collect to build figure on my list of top McFarlane Toys figures of 2021. And the reason being is this is what a collect to build figure should be. It's this bulky, hulking figure, but it's also like articulated. It's not too well articulated, but articulated in the jaw and other places as well. It's a dope figure, and obviously the paint scheme is pretty simple, but the sculpting is really beautiful on this one. And I do believe also McFarlane Toys did reissue this along with the whole wave and like a box set you can find on McFarlane's website, but it's a nice looking figure. It's silly in my opinion, but it makes for good toy photography in my opinion, and dope enough to get it on the list of top McFarlane Toys figures of 2021. And coming in the top 5, at number 5, we have Wonder Woman from the Last Night on Earth. Now, this Wonder Woman figure was one I wasn't initially going to pick up when it was announced or released, But after looking at it, and every time I saw it at the store, I was like, this Wonder Woman figure looks pretty badass. She's got the mohawk and the battle damage cape. It looks like it was pulled straight from the comics. And overall, it makes for good toy photography and ACBA shots. So it's a dope figure nonetheless. The only drawback is it ran into the same issue that the Wonder Woman 84 figure had, was that the legs were a little bit too elongated and the scaling was a little too off, but it's still a dope looking figure nonetheless. And coming in at number 4, we have Batman Beyond. Now, this is from the collectible Joker bot wave, which is Target exclusive. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I have this at number 4. I'm a huge nostalgia nerd, and growing up, Batman Beyond was a huge part of my childhood. Now, even though this isn't based off the TV series from back in the day, it is still Batman Beyond nonetheless. The only drawbacks are, I hate those ankle ball joints and the ball joints at the wrist as well, but I could look past it just because it's a well-made Batman figure and a Batman Beyond figure nonetheless. And a fun fact, this figure is actually what got me back into my YouTube channel and doing unboxing videos, as this was one of the first unboxing videos I had done in over a year. It's an awesome figure in my opinion, and way better than what was made by Mattel a few years back, but still a good looking figure nonetheless. And coming in at number 3, we have the John Stewart Green Lantern. Now, when it comes to Green Lantern's outfit, it's a pretty basic color scheme. It's a black, white, and green suit. But what McFarlane Toys did with this one is kind of add their own spin to it by adding intricate details and patterns on the suit, which in my opinion paid off. In other cases, sometimes it doesn't quite pay off, like the Superboy Prime action figure, but in this case, it definitely did. It's a dope body mold and a fantastic one because they reused it for the Hal Jordan 2-pack, which came out earlier this year. But it's an awesome figure nonetheless, and even the head sculpt on John Stewart, in my opinion, looks fantastic. A good figure, and a good figure to get it at number 3. And coming in at number 2, we have BIZARRO. This, in my opinion, is one of McFarlane Toys' best body mold or bucks they've made so far. Now, since the Infected Superman was released late 2020, a lot of people have been clamoring and saying this would be great for a BIZARRO figure, and I've seen a lot of customizers use that Infected Superman body mold to make their own BIZARRO, and McFarlane Toys listened, and here we are with a BIZARRO figure on that body mold. In my opinion, like I said, it's one of their best ones, and the beauty of this figure, much like CYBORG, is if you have like DC Icons, DC Collectibles, or Mezco DC figures, this BIZARRO can fit in that collection, or when you do toy shots, just because BIZARRO is meant to be like a hulking big character. I love the sculpting of this, especially on the cape as well. It's an awesome figure, and an awesome figure to get at the number 2 spot. And coming in at number 1, we have SHRIEK. This one was also from the collectible Joker bot wave, which is Target exclusive. Now, there's a lot of reasons why this is at number 1. Like I mentioned to y'all earlier, I'm a huge nostalgia nerd. SHRIEK was one of my favorite villains from Batman Beyond. And like before, just because this isn't based off the animated series, I can look past that because it's a SHRIEK figure we have never gotten before. Now, I think they did a great job with the tooling and the sculpting on this figure. The accessory pieces he came with too, like kind of like wavelengths ones, were also really good. I think they did a fantastic job with this figure. It's one of those cases where, like the Green Lantern figure, they added their own take to it, and in my opinion, it really paid off. They even made another version of this with the unmasked head, which I have yet to pick up, but this is such an amazingly built figure in my opinion, and honestly, their best figure of 2021 in my honest opinion. And there you have my top 10 McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures of 2021. Let me know in the comments below what you think, YouTubers. And like always, if you like what you see, hit that like button. If you haven't yet already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.